The town of silent shadows slumbered, shrouded in an eerie stillness that seemed to stretch on forever. A town untouched by time, forgotten by the world, and cloaked in a perpetual mist that clung to everything, making it feel like a place out of a forgotten dream. It was in this town that Sarah, a young artist with eyes as bright as the midday sun, resided, her presence a stark contrast to the town's gloom. She lived alone in a creaking house at the edge of town, her only companions, her easel and paintbrushes, which she used to bring color to her otherwise monochrome world. She yearned for inspiration, her canvas a reflection of the town's dreary silence, each brushstroke a silent plea for something more. Sarah found solace in the mundane, her days filled with the scent of oil paints and the rustle of her sketchbook, each page a testament to her quiet resilience. Her only connection to the outside world was the weekly flea market, a cacophony of forgotten trinkets and hushed whispers where the past and present seemed to collide. The market was her escape, a place where she could lose herself amongst the strange and unusual, finding beauty in the oddities that others overlooked.
One chilly Saturday, drawn by an invisible force, I found myself standing before a stall piled high with dusty relics, each one whispering tales of the past. A tarnished silver hand mirror, nestled among chipped teacups and faded photographs, caught my eye, its surface reflecting a world long gone. It was beautiful yet unsettling, its ornate frame whispering forgotten secrets, as if it held the memories of those who had gazed into it before.
"That mirror," rasped the vendor, his voice a gravelly whisper. "It's cursed, you know." His words hung in the air, heavy with foreboding. His eyes, like two black pits, held a strange intensity, as if he could see into the very soul of anyone who dared to look back. Sarah, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement, dismissed the vendor's warning as mere folklore. She couldn't help but feel a thrill at the thought of owning something so mysterious. She'd always been drawn to the strange and unusual, the whispers of the past calling out to her. The market was a treasure trove of forgotten relics, each with its own story to tell. The mirror, with its promise of forgotten stories, was irresistible. Its intricate frame seemed to hold secrets of a bygone era, and Sarah felt an inexplicable connection to it.
"How much?" she asked, her voice tinged with anticipation.
"For you, $5, the vendor replied, his voice low and gravelly, as if he knew more than he was letting on.
Sarah paid the man, her fingers brushing against his cold, clammy skin. A shiver ran through her, but she quickly dismissed it. As she turned to leave, the vendor's parting words echoed in her ears, sending a chill down her spine.
"Be careful, child. It's a dangerous thing, that mirror. It reflects more than just your face." His words lingered, heavy with foreboding.
Clutching the mirror tightly, Sarah felt a strange sense of responsibility, as if she had taken on a burden she didn't fully understand. Sarah hurried back to her creaking house on the edge of town. The old house, with its weathered walls and creaky floors, seemed to welcome the mirror. The setting sun cast long, eerie shadows, and the wind seemed to whisper her name, adding to the sense of unease that had settled over her. As she stepped inside, she felt a cold shiver run down her spine, as if she had invited something sinister into her home. The air felt heavy, charged with an unseen presence. That night, as the wind howled like a banshee and rain lashed against the windows, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Sarah hung the mirror above her fireplace, its presence dominating the room. The flickering flames danced in its depths, casting strange and eerie shadows around the room. The mirror seemed to come alive, its surface rippling with dark secrets. Sleep evaded Sarah that night. She tossed and turned, unable to find solace in the darkness. She lay awake, listening to the incessant tick-tock of the grandfather clock in the hallway and the creaking of the old house as it settled around her. The sounds seemed to grow louder with each passing minute, amplifying her unease. Every so often she would catch a glimpse of movement out of the corner of her eye, a fleeting shadow that vanished as quickly as it appeared. Her mind raced with possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. Then she heard it, a whisper, faint and indistinct, coming from the direction of the mirror. It was almost as if the mirror itself was trying to communicate with her. It seemed to slither around the edges of her consciousness, sending chills down her spine. The sensation was both eerie and unsettling, making her skin crawl.
I sat up in bed, my heart pounding in my chest, and stared at the mirror, The room felt colder, and the air seemed to thicken with an unspoken dread. The flickering flames in the fireplace cast dancing shadows on its surface, but I could have sworn I saw a figure standing in the reflection. It was a fleeting image, but it left a lasting impression.
As the days turned into nights, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to echo in her mind, refusing to be ignored. They seemed to call out to Sarah, drawing her to the mirror. It was as if an invisible force was pulling her closer, compelling her to confront whatever lay within. Her reflection, once a comforting presence, now seemed distant, its eyes narrowed in a sinister grin. The familiar face in the glass had transformed into something unrecognizable and malevolent. It was as if something wicked was lurking behind the glass, watching her, waiting for its moment to break free. The sense of impending doom was palpable.
Sarah! S4. Sarah! The voice was unmistakable, sending shivers down her spine.
One night, as Sarah lay in bed, unable to sleep, she heard her name being whispered. The sound was clearer than ever before, almost as if someone was right beside her. It was not the voice of the wind nor the creaking of the house, but a voice that seemed to come from the very depths of her soul. It resonated with a haunting familiarity, but a voice that seemed to come from the very depths of her soul. It resonated with a haunting familiarity. She turned towards the mirror, her heart pounding in her chest, and gasped. The reflection that stared back at her was not her own, but something far more sinister.